Hello everyone, once again from the Tory dystopia of the United Kingdom, and today we are talking about beauty standards. Now, beauty is in the eye of the beholder is something pretty much everyone has heard in their life, and it rings pretty true for most people. But even then, you still have people rating others on a scale of often 1 to 10. I've never personally heard this in my real life, I guess it's my YouTube life. In my real life, I've never heard someone say, oh, she's a 10, she's a 10, but it is common. And I guess for me personally, I don't really categorize people into ratings in terms of looks. For me, I really just categorize it into two different things. You're either good looking or you're average looking, right? I find it really hard to actually think anyone is actually ugly. And I guess, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So I just think most people fall into the category of you just look average, not bad or anything, but maybe you just don't stand out. You're not even ugly and stuff. But don't worry, some people on Reddit have boiled it down to a scientific rating, and that is TrueRateMe, the subreddit. Now, if you guys are unaware, on Reddit, there are various different subreddits you can go, post a picture, and they have to verify it's you. Normally by you posting a picture of you holding up a piece of paper where you've written the subreddit's name, and you'll get ratings, or you'll get people giving you advice on how to improve your looks and stuff like that. Now, TrueRateMe is different because it basically purports to be a subreddit where it will give you an accurate rating. Now, there are subreddits which are more brutal, but this one is unique in that it has documents of basically skull measuring of why people are good looking or not. This has to be the most incel infested subreddit I've ever looked on. Not only for its criteria on what makes someone good looking in the first place, all based on symmetrical faces, your nose, and skull size essentially, but also the types of comments in here of largely men giving objectively attractive women a rating of 3 out of 10 and basically explaining that poor rating based on phrenology or something. It is literally insane. A lot of my videos have a very significant point or delve into something that's more important to society. This isn't one of them. It's just to show you the bottom of the barrel of Reddit, which is already close to the bottom of the barrel in general. So what we're going to do today is just look at the subreddit, look at its crazy criteria for what makes an attractive person, and then just look at how some of these people talk mainly about women. So I did go on the subreddit, keeping an open mind, seeing if I could find lots of men posting themselves saying, what do you rate me? I really couldn't find many men posting themselves. It is largely women and largely men reacting to that. So we're going to get into all of this today. Before we go any further, please like the video, leave a comment with your thoughts, and also follow me on social media at the Kavernacle on Twitter, but also on Instagram. Also now check me out on Blue Sky, and also consider becoming a patron. I'm trying to build up as many $1 to $3 patrons as possible. Benefits include access to exclusive content, access to the private patrons Discord server, and access to my Nintendo Switch friend code. Also, check out my subreddit and check out my second channel. The links to all of these things down in the description. So if you're on Twitter, you probably did see this going viral, but if you are unaware of what happened, basically, Indie100 reporting, Rate Me subreddit issues warning to user for overrating a woman's look. A subreddit has gained attention on social media after one of the moderators warned a commenter for overrating a woman's looks. The subreddit is called TrueRateMe and uses a strict numerical system to rate the physical appearance of users who upload selfies onto the website. The subreddit contains a guide for rating women and men at the top of its page, and it's strict when it comes to enforcing correct ratings. This was one of the pictures I saw going around on Twitter. Someone saying, 30 female, curious, and I'd say objectively this person is good looking. And here's some of the examples. If someone gives them a 7.7 out of 10, and one of the mods goes, warning for overrating, rule 1, third strike, perma ban applied. Someone rating a 9, warning for overrating, rule 1, third strike, perma ban applied. Basically, if you rate someone too low or too high 3 times, you get banned from commenting on posts. And as we're going to see, the criteria is insane, and they use that to justify giving objectively attractive people like 3s or 2s or whatever. So let's go on to the subreddit itself. So TrueRateMe description. The purpose of this sub is to provide accurate and objective ratings for individuals based on their facial aesthetics. The rating follows a rating system developed by people who are very interested in human appearance and attraction. Let's just keep it real. Developed by incel dudes, using it as a justification to basically call most women ugly. That's what it seems. So in the rules, you have rate posters accurately using the subreddit's information and ratings guides. Rate inflating to the point that a rating is not objective is prohibited and will result in a ban as determined by the mods. So generally has laws against, hate speech, racism, trolling, sexual comments, pickup lines and stuff. I guess, that's all well and good. It also says that you have to be 18 plus. But the reason for that is pretty weird. 18 and older, facial bones are still developing under 18, and the individual likely has not fully matured. Assessing this person's looks at this age is unproductive. Photos of underage individuals will be removed. Bans will be issued for lying about one's age. No post under 18, not because that is more creepy, but because young people's facial bones haven't developed yet. So also, incel terminology is prohibited. No using Chad, Stacy, Tyrone, Cope, cuck, femoid, talking about normies, other terms determined to be incel related by the mods are also not allowed. Apart from not having the explicit terminology, there's no way you can read this subreddit that isn't really misogynistic. So you saw some of the language. They talk about objective. So what they want in this subreddit is to have objective ratings on people's appearance and if they're good looking. Not like other subreddits where it's all down to someone's personal preference and opinion. This aims to be the only subreddit where you get an objective scientific rating based on skull size and bone structure if you're good looking or not. So on the wiki page, this sub aims to provide accurate and objective ratings by implementing standards that give raters a common ground. What is meant by accurate? Ratings on the sub tend to vary wildly, since many raters use their own personal scale. On other rating subs, there are rarely defined scales, so it's hard to make sense of individual ratings. To deal with this issue, this sub has a rating scale that every rater references. What is meant by objective? There are certain objective measurable factors that contribute to one's attractiveness. Facial harmony, symmetry, mid-face ratio, skin, features including face shape, eyes, nose, lips, bones, and jaw, especially for men. Linked below are step-by-step rating primers that give details about the above factors and how they can affect attractiveness. So we're going to look at these in a bit more detail. So they say, you've heard the phrase, beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. No, not really. Beauty is more objective and subjective. Why do you think there is always general agreements on which celebrities are attractive and which are not? Or people in real life? I'd really disagree with that. In school, for example, there are always the pretty girls or good-looking guys, and then the not-so-good-looking ones. Sure, there is some personal preference involved, but if beauty was purely subjective, there would be an equal number of people who think the 3s in our guide are as attractive as the 7s. Let's put it another way. If we were to ask 100 people if Megan Fox was good looking, how many would say yes? Probably close to 100. That's what is meant by beauty being largely objective. So they have these documents about the rating scale. A couple things I want to say about them. Why are they in such poor definition? I can barely even read the writing on these. These guys need to go back and ensure the picture quality is better, because as you're going to see, it's not me taking a bad screenshot. It just looks like this, which is insane. So now let's look at the men first. So this is how they rate men. So 10. No examples because this level is unattainable. So 9.5, top 0.02%. They have a bunch of people, and you have the 9s out of 10 as well. Ian Sommerhalder is the only person I recognize here. But good looking guys, and it says extremely rare, most attractive men of all time. These men have very good bone structure, projected and square jaw, high set, prominent, zygomatic, don't even know what that means, processes, excellent facial symmetry and harmony, strong brow ridge which results in hunter eyes, strong eyebrows, skin will show nearly no flaws and be clear. The face will be almost perfectly harmonious, with a majority of facial features being masculine and cohesive. supermodels, and some actors can be found in this category. So I'm not going to go through all of these properly. I just want to go through like kind of like the top, the middle, and the bottom. But you have on 8.5 like Chris Hemsworth types. Then you have on 7.5 people like Ronaldo, Richard Madden. And if we go down even further, we have 6s. You can tell this is made by men just because of all the footballers that pop up. Like Nicholas Tagliafico, like really random ass footballer to have on this list. But now we go to the 5s. So here we have in the 5s Anthony Mackie, Cengiz Under, Alex Rodriguez, and it basically says the majority of men fall in this range. Nothing positive really stands out, but they are not considered ugly by the majority of people. Some flaws may be noticeable. Recessed maxilla, I'm so glad, I don't know what that is. Narrow palate, asymmetry, excess upper eyelid exposure, excess buccal fat, and bad hairline, recessed jaw, and imperfect skin. Again, like, what is wrong with these people? And if you asked the average person, is Anthony Mackie good looking? They would say yes. They wouldn't say Anthony Mackie is a 5 out of 10. If Anthony Mackie is a 5 out of 10, the rest of us guys are screwed because that's a good looking dude. So what are the rest of us, like -1s or something? So yeah, that was pretty insane. But of course, we are dealing with a bunch of men rating women in this subreddit. We're not looking at a bunch of women rating men or a bunch of men rating men, because that rarely actually ever happens here. So now let's go to the women scale, basically. Let's see what they say about this. So let's do the same thing. Let's talk in detail about, 9 and 10. Talk in detail about 5 and maybe look at the bottom. So here we have 9.5 and 9. I apologize, I don't recognize any of these women. Extremely rare. This range will consist of the best looking women of all time, with virtually every facial feature being top tier. These women have great bone structure, strong projected jaw, high set, prominent zygomatic processes, excellent facial symmetry and harmony, large almond eyes, full lips and fine eyebrows. Skin will show instant collagen and be clear, both signs of youthfulness. The face will be almost perfectly harmonious, with a majority of facial features being feminine and cohesive. Supermodels and some actresses can be found in this category. And then if we go down, you have, 8.5s. Ana de Armas falls in 8.5. If I had to actually have a real scale, I'd say that's, probably far too low. And we go down to the 6s and 6.5s and 7s. I don't really recognize any of these women, but, they are all attractive as well. Probably wouldn't say they're average. These women will be good looking with mostly positive facial features and some negative features. Hair and skin will be healthy. Face will be attractive to a majority of people, but maybe polarizing to some. Overall, face will be harmonious, and these women will be considered better looking than average. So let's go down to the 5. So we have 4.5, 5, and 5.5. So Brie Larson is a 5.5. Saoirse Ronan is a 5. And Joey King is a 4.5. It's just like these impossible standards, isn't it? Like, these 3 people are the ones I know, so that's why I said them. And, like, they're all good looking. Are you going to say Brie Larson is average looking? Like, she's 5. She is what, like, most people look like. Brie Larson, who is a famous actress, who probably has a great personal chef, great diet, works out all the time with a personal trainer, takes care of herself probably way more than the rest of us, and is good looking anyway. That's the average. Like, Anthony Mackie is a 5. Brie Larson's a 5. What does the rest of us look like then? What do the rest of us who aren't actresses, actors, and models, what are we on this scale? Like, nothing? Like, just your average person like me, am I literally going to be, like, rated 1 on this scale? So it says here for 5.5, these women will be above average and somewhat good looking, with some positive facial features and some negative features. Hair and skin will be healthy. Face will be somewhat attractive to some people, but only slightly above average to others. Overall, face will be fairly harmonious, and these women will be considered better looking than average. So 5, the majority of women fall in this range. Face is not head turning, but makeup can be used to accentuate facial features to the point of being considered slightly attractive to a decent amount of people. Facial flaws may be noticeable. Recessed maxilla, narrow palate. And then 4.5, a decent amount of women fall into this range, and they will not be considered particularly attractive, but also not ugly. Possible flaws are noticeable: masculine features, blushy eyebrows, large nose, strong chin, face-like harmony. Flaws detract from overall attractiveness. So I think I'll stop it there, though. But the flaw in this objective scale is I don't see any scientific reason why Brie Larson is a 5.5 or Saoirse Ronan is a 5, but other people are an 8.5 or a 10, right? Obviously, you can see the type of people they like for like the 9.5s, these people who look like supermodels and stuff. We can kind of understand that. I don't understand how the 4.5s, 5s and 5.5s, it doesn't seem like there is any science behind this. It just seems like it's based on vibes of, does this woman fit into this category I've imagined in my head, and that's the scale we're going to use. I can't even believe I'm saying this, but there is a bit more like science. Like there's more documents. Like what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? There is loads of documents actually. It does get into the science of skull measuring a bit more, and you can see it has like diagrams about the facial harmony, the mid-face ratio, having like literal diagrams on someone's face, having stuff about like, you know, the perfect eyes, like Megan Fox, female hunter eyes, or whatever it calls it. Then examples of weak eyes like Elizabeth Moss. Go down and you have some men and women, examples of good skin. You have like Cameron Monaghan. Then you have someone like Harry Styles as an example of bad skin, and Cameron Diaz as an example of bad skin. Then you have stuff about noses. Again, I can't even read most of this because the picture quality is terrible. And then you have stuff about bones, like looking at their chin. So I guess Natalie Portman, Margot Robbie, Scarlett Johansson, I think it's saying these are good examples of female bone structure. And then you have examples of poor female bone structure. Beyond this just being like crazy incel pseudoscience, I don't even understand how you can remember all of that. Like, imagine looking at someone and looking at a photo of someone's face and thinking about whatever maxilla is. I'm probably going to look it up and put it on screen right now after the video. Or, like, think about, how do you even see someone's chin from that angle as well? How do you see someone's, like, entire face, like, from every angle? They're not even posting it in these pictures. And they're giving people ratings based on this really vague criteria where, you know, attractive people are 4.5 or 8.5 based on nothing. Like, why is Anna de Armas an 8.5 and why is Brie Larson a 5? This science does not explain that. So again, it is just some like crazy incel way to justify this. And don't worry, if you thought it was just insane to read that, you're going to read some of the comments which actually like do rate women based on this weird phrenology. The only thing I will say is that at least it hasn't explicitly descended into a den of racism, because that's probably coming next. So just going to go through some of the more popular posts I found recently. Here, Jet in Jess posts, full face and side profile for accurate rating. Most people saying 5.5, 5.5. And then get a load of this. Like, can you imagine being a man and writing this? Can you imagine even understanding this? So 5.5, there's some noticeable asymmetry, particularly in the eye area and mouth. Despite this, the facial features demonstrate acceptable balance. The eyelids show minimal exposure, and the tilt and the shape of the eyes are appealing. The skin appears smooth, and the collagen is intact. The nose seems to be well proportioned and has a feminine appearance. The lips are satisfactory, displaying a slight cupid's bow, and the corners of the mouth have a positive appearance. However, the philtrum, don't know what the hell that is, and I don't want to know, lacks the desired convexity and appears somewhat flat. The zygomatic, I don't even know what this means, process appears to be adequate. The maxilla and submental space also appear to be in acceptable proportions. I just want to say to everyone out there, if a man ever starts talking about your appearance like this, it's probably like the reincarnation of Patrick Bateman. Like, seriously, run, this person would be like a serial killer or something. Like, other guys watching this, can you imagine even understanding this? Like, can you imagine even knowing about any of this stuff where you can talk about someone's like scientific beauty, talking about their maxilla? Like, again, I'm sure I could look that up and then kind of understand it. But can you imagine looking at Brie Larson and giving her a 5 out of 10 and giving Anna de Armas an 8.5 based on the maxilla? Like, it's just so crazy and so just creepy as well. But most people giving her like 5s or 5.8s, and then you have other posts, have another post, 20 pictures of me at different angles, poses. Like, all the, you know, people I've shown you so far are, you know, attractive. And like I said, in my scale, it's basically like attractive or just like average, kind of like unremarkable, or just, you know, pretty good looking, but nothing special, I guess. But yeah, all of these people, I think most people would say they're attractive. And then someone said, solid 7.5, moderator, warning for overrating, 7.5. And he says, go read like the stuff I've read you. Skybird says Reddit looks like something between a 7 and a 7.5. The mod says you don't become a mod or a trusted rater without familiarizing yourself with the wiki, primers, and guides. Yeah, she's cute to be fair in the first 2 picks. The last pick, not so much. Definitely better than the people you mentioned. What you're calling sunken cheeks is low buckle fat, which is objectively ideal. Like, imagine being this mod. Imagine being this mod. What do you think this mod does in his spare time? Like, imagine being the mod of a subreddit and then arguing with someone who gives like an objectively pretty person like a 7.5 out of 10 rating, and you're arguing like, oh no, no, no. Like, look at her on the scale. Look at her on my phrenology scale. She's not a 7.5. How can you really say that? Look at her buckle fat. Other people giving this person 8s and getting warning for overratings. Someone even put a 6.9 and got a warning for overrating as well. So a couple more of the most upvoted ones. So 20, this person posts, and these are where the really, really creepy comments come in. So here's the first one. 6.5. Your mouth is open in most of these pictures, which makes me think you're either smirking or a mouth breather. If you are indeed a mouth breather, then I suggest you try to breathe through your nose instead, as mouth breathing is bad for dentofacial development and oral health in general. But regardless, you appear to have some great and harmonious features to you. Oh my god, this is so disgustingly creepy. Someone else, 6 to 6.5. The most notable flaw is your long philtrum. The ideal chin to philtrum ratio for women is 2, and yours is considerably less than that, probably 1 to 1.5. In your case, I don't think there's an easy fix. I don't believe you're a good candidate for a lip lift based on your age, but more importantly, based on your underlying dentofacial development. Even in the hands of a good surgeon, there is a much higher likelihood of being botched for those of your characteristics, even if the surgeon takes a conservative approach, but especially if they do not. Are these people seriously saying, like, pretty people get cosmetic surgery to remove features so they can fit, to enhance features so they can fit on some crazy pseudoscience scale? They're actually saying that. Like, this is like the most incel-y subreddit I've ever seen without actually being some sort of incel one. Like, imagine writing that. I'm just trying to get my head around who is the type of person who goes in that subreddit, studies all the stuff I said you, understands all the stuff I read you as well, to a high enough degree that you can look at a woman and say, based on this science, yeah, you should go, at 20 years old, go, get a surgeon to do cosmetic surgery on you because I don't think you quite fit in with our scale. I think this girl will be absolutely fine without doing any of these things. So more amazing looks, but it appears as if your philtrum is too long and forward projecting in relation to your mandible on the side and lower third from the front. 6.4, very beautiful woman, many positive features with some visible flaws. Good bizygomatic and bigonal widths. Are these even real words? Like, what? I feel bad for anyone who speaks English as a second language and is listening to this video. Side profile is truly impressive, healthy skin and hair, nearly perfect amount of buccal fat and a healthy body composition. Flaws include interpupillary distance, upper eyelid exposure and under eye support, length of midface, width of philtrum, stunningly gorgeous overall. So if she is stunningly gorgeous overall, like, what are you even doing here? Like, what are you even doing? Like, based on some science this subreddit made up, you're telling her that she's not actually attractive, but she's actually stunning. Because, like most people in this subreddit know, this measure of beauty is insane and doesn't make any sense because this person is attractive. All the people I've shown you are attractive. But basically doing some weird offshoot of phrenology, like, seems pretty pointless if you're going to say this. So those are the posts I'm going to show you. Go on the subreddit, go look at these posts for yourselves and, like, enjoy. Is that the right word? Like, how insanely creepy this subreddit is. It's like, I don't know, a collection of Patrick Bateman's all in there, all obsessively focusing on, like, things none of us ever think about when we judge if someone is attractive or not, at least not consciously for most of us, if at all. Now, apparently someone who used to be a mod at TrueRateMe wrote about the people who run it. So this is on blog Photophilia. So problems with TrueRateMe, written by a former mod. A former moderator has this to say about the TrueRateMe subreddit. At TrueRateMe, high scores, particularly for women, are deleted by moderators such as myself, and people who give high ratings are permanently banned, while no ratings are ever deleted for being too low, too insulting, or too crude. This gives us the capability to gaslight women and control how they see themselves. Posts that question moderators, the slightest amount are deleted, and people not with the program get banned. But sometimes moderators pick people to be nice to, so it's not an obvious scam. Early attempts were to brigade to other subreddits like RateMe and vote women down, but moderators there banned brigaders, so we had to create our own space here. Most girls who post on TrueRateMe are guys with alt accounts who steal pictures of friends or from other rating subs and pretend to be them to make it look like a legitimate sub. The practice is encouraged by moderators. Do what you want, you have the right to know. They delete comments from users who identify parts of the truth, and I send messages like this to posters as part of a self-imposed penance from the people I hurt by participating in this sub. So obviously that is super concerning. The one thing I will say, that was 3 years ago. And while I do believe there probably are still mods there from 3 years ago, it's also pretty clear that low scores aren't actually deleted now if you go on it. From my understanding from actually looking at the subreddit, because people get banned for rating too low as well. Like if you went on the post I showed you and posted like 2 out of 10, they would ban you too. So maybe it has changed, but it's super concerning. The origins of the sub was all that stuff and basically taking pictures of women that they knew and posting it there to get a rating when you don't even know if it is like, you know, them or not. Where I feel like with the pictures I've showed you, it's pretty clearly them. And if you go on their profile, it seems to be them too. That's why like I picked those ones particularly. But yeah, overall, there isn't really like a point of this video except to just show you this. And although it claims to be like objective, just talking about men and women, it is, you know, clearly a bunch of men talking about how attractive women are based on some crazy made up stuff. And the origins are they did this to basically make women feel terrible about themselves. But yeah, if you thought people couldn't get more crazy about how people look, more gross about how people look, just go on this subreddit. Look how they talk about bone structures and maxilla and loads of things that most people, unless you're like a cosmetic surgeon, have probably never even heard of before, like me. Like I learned loads of new things today, gonna go look these up. But like I said, even if you know what these things are, like studying those documents enough where you can look at a picture of a woman or a man sometimes and list off things that are bad or good, like totally irrelevant things that no one ever thinks about, you are genuinely just a massive creep. Patrick Bateman style obsessive. I don't even know how I can help you at this point if this is the way like you view women and how you rate their like objective attractiveness, as a subreddit says. But anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.